What's up guys, this is Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I wanted to do a quick video showing you guys Tails. So Tails is a security-focused Debian-based Linux distribution aimed at preserving your privacy and anonymity on the internet. So one cool thing about this distribution is that all the traffic on it is actually routed through the Tor network. But there's somewhat of a downside to that. Being that the system is so secure, it doesn't allow you to really save files to the actual distribution. You will have to create what they call a persistence volume in order to keep your files on the actual system. And pretty much every time you boot into the operating system, it's basically a clean slate. So anything you saved on the system that wasn't saved in the persistent volume is actually removed from the system. And it's made to actually be carried around like on a USB, and you can plug into any computer that you want and boot up the operating system, and then you can use it from there. So that's what makes it kind of very secure, being that you don't save anything, your browser history, none of that stuff is stored on the actual OS. But anyway, I just wanted to do a quick look at Tails since I went through and did a video on Tor. I wanted to show you guys Tails so you guys can at least get some information on what it actually is and how to use it. So first thing I want to do is go to the Tails website. You can actually get to it from the Tor page. There's a link that points you directly to Tails. So let's go down and pull that up now and read a little bit about it. So the link to get to the website is actually Tails, or the URL is tails.bomb.org. And as always, I'll put the link down in the description of the video. But first thing it states on the main page is Tails is a portable operating system that protects against surveillance and censorship, kind of like what I explained earlier. And we scroll down a little bit, it says avoid surveillance, censorship, and advertising and viruses. Tails uses the Tor network to protect your privacy online and helps you avoid censorship. Enjoy the internet like it should be. Your secure computer anywhere. Shut down the computer and store it on your Tails USB stick instead of storing on Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. Tails leaves no trace on the computer when it shuts down. So that's kind of what I was saying. It basically everything starts fresh when you boot up a new session of Tails, so to speak. And it's almost like running a live ISO constantly. Like how you get the Ubuntu live ISO and you can play around with it and you can do certain things, you can get on the internet and all that. Well, with this one, it's specifically built to run everything through the Tor network when the system boots up. And just like that live USB or live CD, you can't store anything on the system, but this actual distribution allows you to create a volume to store files for future use if you want to have a persistence volume. But I'll show you guys that later once we get to the OS. But it says digital security toolbox. Tails includes a selection of applications to work on sensitive documents and communicate securely. Everything in Tails is ready to use and has safe defaults. And then also it has free software just like any other Linux-based distribution. And also one thing I forgot to say, this is a Debian-based distribution. So Tails is actually built based on Debian Linux. And just to read what this says, it says you can download Tails for free and independent security researchers can verify our work. And then this is a link to actually get Tails, but you can click up at the top menu, says get Tails, and then there is a couple different installs. It says what operating system are you installing Tails from. So basically just download the one based on your operating system, and basically all you're doing is burning it to a USB. And you can use Etcher or something if you're using Windows, or Rufus. That's one of the ones I've used in the past. Mac OS, I'm pretty sure you can use the DD command just like in Linux. It should be built into their operating system or whatever application they have to burn things to USB, because I don't know much Mac OS applications, but you can also just download it directly. It says for a USB stick, this is the USB image, and then also for DVDs, so you can actually run this thing on a DVD. So if you still have a DVD around or a DVD burner around, then you can write it to a DVD, and hopefully you find a laptop that has a DVD reader in it, or a desktop computer that has a DVD or a CD drive. Then you can use that, you know what I'm saying, which I don't recommend because it's kind of slow. USB is much faster, so you want to use a USB stick. But also, one cool thing they have is a virtual machine ISO image, so you can download that as well, which is what I'm gonna do for this demonstration. I'm gonna just use that virtual machine ISO and go on and open it up, because I'm not gonna install it. I'm gonna just open it up really on a virtual machine. But let's go on and get to that. Okay, cool. So I have a virtual machine up and, well, actually it's not up and running. I'm about to start it right now, and I just want you guys to see it boots up. So yeah, it just pops up with you can select Tails, but I'm just let it boot up. And one thing about this distribution is Debian based, and it also has the GNOME desktop environment on it. So let's go down and wait for this thing to come up. It should be close to getting done. Yeah, and there we go. And the first thing that pops up, it basically asks you, you know, to verify your language and region, and that's typically for any distribution, you know, but this doesn't store it, so you have to put it in every single time based on what I saw, because I actually started this thing once and then shut it down, and then I started it up so you guys can actually see it boot up from the beginning. But I'm gonna go down and get the resolution set up once it actually brings up the system, and there we go. Let's go down and fix that right fast. This shouldn't take too long. But it says non-free virtual machine detected, and that's probably because VirtualBox is owned by Oracle. So but it's free and open source. I'm not sure why it says that. I'm assuming that just pops up because you're in a virtual machine. And one thing about the virtual machine version, you can't create a persistent drive unless you like hook up another USB to it or something like that, and you can store your data there. But with a virtual machine, you can obviously share a folder with the virtual machine, and you can bring things over if you need to from your host machine if you're running it this way. But it's intended to run on a live USB. I just wanted to use this as a demonstration so you guys can see what it actually looks like. But if you've used GNOME, the GNOME desktop, then this is very familiar to you. Like, you can go in and actually make changes to it if you need to. Let me see if it actually has any different backgrounds. I'm pretty sure if you select like a different background and set it that way, I'm 100% sure it's gonna change that back soon as we boot up, or reboot it back up, because it's supposed to, you know, remove everything and then start fresh every single time. But let's just go through some of the applications right fast, and let's start off with the favorites. So the favorites, they already have favorites in there, so this is probably everything we need to see that's kind of like important on the system. Like, you have the Tor browser, that's the default browser. There is no other browser on here. There's the configure persistent volume, and I'm pretty sure that's for the USB. This probably will fail. Yeah, you have to add a USB to the virtual machine in order to make the virtual machine persistent. But then Tor browser, like I stated, that's the browser. This is the documentation. And then it says whisper back error reporting, and I don't know what that is, to be honest. And this is the Tails installer, so you can actually use the Tails installer to create other copies of Tails and install it. You know what I'm saying? You can select, you can use the current copy that we have open, and we can copy that over to USB, and you just basically go through and select it. So that'll help you, you know, if you don't have internet connection where you are once you get it. And let's say you need to make a copy and put it on a different USB, you can use the USB that you currently have in order to create another one. But then Thunderbird, KeePass, like I stated earlier, Pigeon, Instant Messenger, and just think about it. All these applications, every application that's on here, if it tries to connect to the internet, it's gonna go through the Tor network. But as far as graphics go, it has GIMP, and actually I skipped one. So accessories, calculator, file, get hash, KeePass, and text editor. Then graphics, you got GIMP, the GNU image manipulation program, Inkscape, LibreOffice Draw, and Simple Scan. And then also, if we go on the internet, they have Electrum Bitcoin wallet, and then you have Onion Circuits, you have Onion Share, Pigeon Instant Messenger, Thunderbird Tor, and Unsafe browser. So they do have another browser. So I guess you can open this one up, and it says, hold on, was not enabled in the welcome screen. So I'm assuming you have to activate that in the welcome screen. And it says to use the unsafe browser, restore Tails and enable unsafe browser in the additional settings of the welcome screen. To always enable unsafe browser, turn on the welcome screen features of the persistent storage. Okay, all right, well, we're not gonna do that, but so that's good that it has like a wall you have to go through to actually turn on unsafe browsing. That'll kind of prevent you from, you know, logging into this thing, a privacy centric distribution, and just doing what you typically do on your desktop and exposing yourself to websites, you know, that could possibly be tracking you. So that's good. You would have to go through a couple steps to actually do that. But anyway, let's see. Office, it has LibreOffice, like I was saying. And then let's see, programming. It says Podit, and I don't know what that is. I've never used that, Podit. But sound and videos, you got Audacity, Bizarro, Sound Juice, Sound Recorder, and videos. And then let's see, system tools. We have Synaptic Package Manager, additional software settings, persistent volume, delete the persistent volume, power statistics. Then they have a root terminal, Tails installer, terminal, whisper back error reporting. And then Tails, let's just click on here about Tails, and this is version 4.14. that's the most current build of Tails. Let's go back in here though. And one thing I wanted to click on was additional software. I just wanted to see how you install other software. It says you can install additional software automatically from your persistent storage when storing Tails. To do so, install Tails on a USB stick and create a persistent storage. Yeah, and like I said, you have to have it on a USB in order to create that persistent storage. So we're kind of limited with the VM. But like I said, I still wanted to show you guys what it actually looks like. And let's see, it says Universal Access, Dasher, utilities, and they have a system monitor, you know, archive manager, disk drive, disk application, document viewer, help, image viewer, password and keys, unlock barrel crypt volumes, so you can create encryption volumes, screenshot system manager. But that's, you know, a pretty good set of pieces of software that is already pre-installed, and this is probably taking you to a website. I wanted to click on it just to click on it. And one thing about Tor, if you guys have never been on Tor, it's kind of slow, you know what I'm saying, especially since you're going through the Tor network. You know, it's kind of slow, so just understand that. But anyway, that's just a link to the Tails documentation, and you can go through and look at everything from here if you need to, if you need some help with actually running the operating system. And one thing I really wanted to explain to you guys was that it has a automatic utility that goes through and updates, or it'll ask you to upgrade your USB stick. So once you have this thing set up on a USB drive, then every time you boot it up, it'll check Once it's connected to Tor, it'll check to see if it's any upgrades, and if there are any upgrades, it'll automatically upgrade the USB for you, and it'll do everything through Tor. It'll check for the upgrades and then download them through Tor and upgrade your USB drive. And the upgrades are pretty much done on the fly from a running Tails system. So that's one cool thing about it. So you don't have to really worry about the upgrades, because I know you were wondering, like, okay, can I update this just like I would any other distribution? But that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. I hope this is a good tutorial for you guys, or like an introduction to Tails, and I hope some of you guys try this out for yourself to try to protect yourself and make yourself anonymous online. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comment boxes below, and of course, keep it techie.